And now, after years of planning, sweating, and going broke, here is the Boots and Whiskey Podcast with Jim Belisle.
I left the media.
Why they would give this man a podcast is anyone's guess.
Then there is what could only be a bizarre coincidence or something else.
Welcome to the Boots and Whiskey Podcast with Jim Belisle.
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
Country music and fine moonshine. Finally, a podcast that lets it all hang out.
Let's level with America.
Got your boots? Ready for some whiskey?
These boots are made for walking.
One of these days, these boots are gonna walk all over you.
And now, the Boots and Whiskey Podcast with Jim Belisle.
Hey everyone, Jim here, Boots and Whiskey Podcast. Welcome back to another episode of the show. Today, I'm sure if you're watching this, you've probably never tuned into us before. We have Chanel West Coast on the program today. For those that have been here before, you know what to expect. For those that haven't, this is just a conversation. We do this with all our guests. It's a very informal, let's get to know each other kind of thing. Now, for those of you that have been here before, you might think to yourself, like, who the hell is this, right? And I had that exact same feeling, right? And I kind of touch upon it in the conversation you're about to hear and see. And then I was I was humbled, honestly, and pleasantly surprised on how great of a conversation you're about to see and hear. I'm not gonna lie to you, I wasn't sure what to expect because, you know, I knew the history a little bit of Chanel and all the things, and I was like, what the hell could we possibly talk about? And the conversation at hand is absolutely fantastic, and probably one of the better ones we've had in a while. You know what? That's not fair to say because all of our conversations have been absolutely stunning. One of our better ones that we've had when I wasn't sure of, I should say. So thank you for being here. Kick back, relax, and enjoy. And here you are, Chanel West Coast. Cheers. From the conversation, but first and foremost,
Yeah.
what the hell are you doing getting into the country music space?
Well, I've always loved country music. I've loved all music my whole life. And really just through experimenting, through making music for so many years, a couple producers and songwriters I was working with were like, hey, Chanel, have you ever tried singing a country song? And I'm like,
Sure.
well, no, I love country. I love all music. But it was a couple people around me that were like, hey, I think you might have the right tone of voice for country music. And I think that comes a little bit from I talk just like my mom. My mom's from Ohio. And like I talk just like her. Like every time people would call our house when I was growing up, they'd be like, hey, Jamie. And I'm like, it's not Jamie. Let me get my mom real quick. So I think I just talk just like my mom, who's from Ohio. She's kind of got a country twang. And like I've always talked like her. Even growing up in LA, kids at school would always be like, hey, where are you from? And I'm like, I mean, I'm from here, but like, I don't know. I talk like my mom, I guess. so I think that's where like the little twang comes from in my tone of voice. And yeah, just working through like, with all these people in the music industry, a bunch of people around me were like, hey, I think you should try country music. Like, take a stab at it. And actually, my dad, he sadly passed away 2 years ago, but my dad, he was a DJ, and my dad played all types of music. And my dad was also telling me too, like, why don't you try country music? And so I really went full force with it when he passed, just because I wanted to like make him extra proud. And he was like really gunning for me to do it. So yeah, so that's how I ended up here.
That's kind of awesome, because it's like, obviously, I'm not gonna lie to you, I had no idea who the hell you were. So until you came across my desk, and like I kind of like researched it a little bit, and like I would tell people, I was like, hey, do you know who this person is? And they're like, how do you not know who this person is? And I'm like, well, I'm also pushing 40, and I haven't I hadn't watched MTV since I was 17 years old. But like how do you get into this world? And how do you get into the stuff that you did prior to this? Like, it just doesn't happen.
What, to get on TV and stuff, like on
Yeah.
rock shows? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty crazy. Like my life has been a wild journey. One day I want to have like a book, maybe a biopic movie, really just getting into details of like everything that's went on in my life. I never thought that I would do reality TV or anything like that. It just kind of happened. I ended up meeting Rob. He thought I was funny, I guess, asked me to do, I started with one episode of his show Fantasy Factory. And so after filming for one day, they were like, "Hey, do you want to do this full time?" And I'm like, "All right, I guess so." You know, I was a young kid. I had no money. I'm like, why not take this opportunity? And so I've always loved music. That was like my first passion. And yeah, I just kind of like stumbled into the TV world, and that ended up being, you know, what I was known for and kind of like the forefront of my career. Even though, you know, in not even just in my own personal eyes, like anybody who's known me since I'm a little kid, like I've always done music. I was like a total performing arts kid, always in the talent show, like dance team, choir, orchestra, like anything that had to do with music. That's what I wanted to do as a kid. And this whole TV journey, it's been crazy. It's been so fun, you know, but it's definitely not my passion. My passion is music.
Okay.
So I'm happy that I've had this success with TV, but that's why, you know, a lot of people are like, why are you still working this hard? And it's like, well, I've had success, but not at the thing I'm really passionate about, you know?
Right. Now, with having that kind of TV thing and that TV success, because I mean, from what I've seen, in just a little bit of research I did, like these shows you were on, for what they were and where they were and the timing, like they were huge, right?
Yeah.
Now, do you feel like you're almost starting over in an industry that you've always kind of been in?
A little bit. It's funny because for me, I always have done music. Like even when I was filming Ridiculousness, filming Fantasy Factory, I would go home, go get in the studio, write music. Like it's my hobby. It's what I've always loved to do. So I've always just made music, and I started touring independently like many years back. And so a lot of people, you know, mainly know me for TV, but I do have like a very cult like kind of fan base who knows my
Sure.
music, and I've been able to tour independently for a very long time. But I do feel like now I'm done with TV, so now it's like 100% go time with the music. That's the best way to put it. Especially because
Yeah.
when I was filming the TV show, our schedule was like very spaced out. So I had to pass up a lot of music opportunities. Like I got offered to do like a Vans Warp tour, to do like a festival in Hawaii, which did not want to miss that. But like, you know, the
Right.
filming had to come first a lot. So in many ways, even though I was put on TV and given this great fan base, it was a little bit of a setback for my music too. So now that I'm not doing TV, I have all the time to fully focus on my music. Well, I won't say all the time. I'm a mom.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But when I'm not being a mom, I spend all my time on my music.
Now, when you're doing music as a hobby while you're filming these shows and all that, like, are you dabbling in like the country sound and all that, or is it pop music?
I've always dabbled a little bit in everything. What I put out for years was mainly just my hip hop music, but like I like writing songs just, you know, to maybe try and get to other artists too. So I've literally dabbled with like everything. Like I've made a rock song that I never put out. I made a song that's kind of like reggae.
Really?
Like yes, I love music. Like I said, my dad was a DJ, and so when I'd go to visit my dad as a little girl, he would always play everything. Like he would just, you know, be changing records while we're hanging out in the house. And my dad was an artist too. So he was a very creative guy. He just like put on music all day while we paint and like color together. So I listened to literally everything growing up. My mom was like super heavy metal rock chick, but then her family was super into country. And
Huh.
then yeah, so it's like I grew up listening to everything, and I've always kind of experimented with everything. But it wasn't until a couple years ago that I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna just start putting out country stuff and only that. And even though it's country though, I'm still mixing in a little bit of, there's a couple little raps still in there. I'm still trying to mix in some hip hop flavor. I feel like if artists like Big X the Plug can put out a country album, then why can't I?
I love that you said that because, so I was growing up, country music for me was not a thing, right? Like my dad's side, they listen to country, like the old school, like what I would consider now like the really good stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And, it was a classic rock household, right?
Yep.
And, you know, but like I'm a kid of the 90s, right? I grew up in the 90s, and, so I think when I think hip hop, right, or rap or anything like that, like for me, it's like Biggie, Tupac,
Same.
all the greats, right?
Yeah.
Now, I listen to the stuff that comes out now, right?
Hmm.
And I say to myself, and I'm sure you'd fight me on this, and that's okay. But like I feel like those greats are rolling in their graves
No, they
from
would.
what, right? Because like to me it's garbage. Like I'm not gonna make mix words. Like it's just not my thing, right? But if it
Feel
was like
you.
better, like I feel like I could gravitate to it a little more. Like the M&Ms of the world are gone. Like these new kids that think they're that, I don't think are that, and not even fucking close.
No, this is another one of the reasons I decided to kind of transition out of hip hop into country is I feel like hip hop got to a place where it's just like it's not the same. Like I grew up
No,
listening to rappers like Lauryn Hill and Missy Elliott. Like the female rappers when was growing up were like real lyricists. They were real
right?
poets. They
The,
were a lot classier too. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
right. They had something to say.
Yes, there was depth and they had real things to
Right.
talk about. And so that's the music that inspired me to want to rap in the first place. Tupac inspired me to want to rap, but rap really got to a different place where it's extremely ratchet. I think it's like a little trashy these days and I'm a
Yeah.
mom now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think though that the reason why for me also doing country is such a great transition. A lot of people don't pay attention to the fact that rap and country are like the two genres where it's all about rhyming. I mean, there's pop songs and rock songs where not everything is rhyming, but in country and in rap, everything rhymes. It's all about the poetry. And so I'm
Yeah.
still getting to do my poetry, still getting to rhyme, but now I'm just putting it into singing form. And I think that you know, country music has such like it has so much depth to it. You know, it has a lot of storytelling and I think that I haven't been able to tell my story as well as I'd like to through hip hop music. I also think that's because of where hip hop went. It got to a place where it's like I have to make party songs. The song's got to be about me
Yeah.
popping my booty. Like it's like I'm like I don't want to make songs about that anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's what I love about country is like it's a place where you can really let out your emotions and really tell stories and that's what I'm working on with my new country album, my debut album that I'm about to come out with this year. It's really going deeper into the storytelling of my life. Like it's not all party songs. I still have fun songs because like people really know me for that. They know me for putting on a good time and I have a lot of high energy songs. But the album I'm working on is definitely going to have a lot of deeper uh love songs, songs talking about my life, my upbringing, and that's what I love about country music. I feel like you can kind of like you can make a song about anything.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think you're kind of doing it all at the right time because it's like, you kind of talked about it a little bit where these, whether it's pop or hip hop or whatever, like these artists are starting to bleed into, I say our genre and I don't mean it like like it's a warfare, right? But it's, you know, po, Posty puts out an album 2 years ago that to me, that year might have been the best country album of the year, right?
Yep.
And crazy how like they are bleeding together a little bit, and I don't know if that's because this genre is bigger than it's probably ever been right now, or there's just like you said, hip hop artists are starting to find that the ones that actually have a talent to them have something to say and can find a broader audience to say it to.
I think that's a lot of what's going on right now. Like I know personally, I mean, just the other day I had a call with and I'm not gonna like blast, all my information, but I had a call with a very big hip hop producer and my friend had reached out to me and said, "Hey, you want to work with so and so?" And I'm like, I'm doing country now because I know who the person is. And they're like, oh, he's doing country now. That's why he really wants to get in the studio with you. He was like, I think we can make something great. And I had a call with him and he said the same. He's a family guy. He's like, I feel like I've been making a lot of like really ratchet stuff. He's like, I don't even want my kids to listen to this. And so
Yeah.
he's like, I want to make more family friendly music. And I think, even when I went to Stagecoach versus Coachella, it was so much more family friendly. There was kids everywhere.
Yeah.
And I felt like that just speaks volumes on country music in general. You still have songs talking about drinking and turning up in
Yeah.
country,
Yeah.
but it's a lot more digestible, and you're able to bring your kids around to listen to it. And I think that a lot of people are just kind of growing up and getting over the kind of ratchet music. But hopefully, artists like Big X the Plug and Shabuzi, I think they're kind of bridging these worlds right now, and making a little
Yeah.
bit of like they're bringing a little bit of the cooler hip hop sound to country.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, you know, when it's good, and I think, I don't listen to anything really outside of country anymore, right?
Yeah.
But like, I have a 10-year-old and he'll be like, "Oh, Dad, listen to this song." And it's like, dude, first of all, I'm raising you better than that. But you know, his friends listen to it, and it obviously it bleeds, right?
Yeah.
And that's fine. And I was like, and I listened to it and I'm like, I don't understand any of this. And then he's like, well, like Drake hates this person, and then everybody hates this person. And I'm like, what the fuck has happened? Like when I was a kid, it was like West Coast, East Coast, Biggie and Tupac, at the time was in there, and like
Yeah.
that was it. It was like three people, but now like everybody hates everybody else, and it's like, what's going on? And he's like, well, everything tells a story. And I'm like, dude, you're 10. You don't even know how to tie your shoes some days. But, it's just so funny how, music has evolved, right?
Yeah.
Or, you know, and how much music in general, regardless of genre, has kind of like ebb and flowed over the years. Like,
Hmm.
you think about 90s, early 2000s, like country music is there, but it's not what it is now. It's very insane how big it is.
I think the country's just gotten a lot more broad, like with the sound,
Yeah,
like a
yeah,
lot of country artists, they're making songs where the beat, it is a little hip hoppy, it's a little different. And I think that, like I keep saying, I'm like at the all of the country music award shows. I think in the next year or two, there's probably going to start to be like a rap country category at a lot of these award shows, because it's honestly just happening so much right now. Like those worlds are merging a lot.
yeah,
And I think they're gonna have to just kind of accept that people are kind of cross pollinating in these genres.
yeah. Now let me ask you, right? As a student of music, right? Do
Yeah.
you think, and I don't, this is just an opinion. I don't care how you see it, whatever. But do you think when we do that, right? Cross pollinate, as you said. I love that you said it that way. The genres, do you think it takes away from the history of the genre?
Uh, no, I don't actually.
No?
I think it makes more people aware of the history, because, like, even for
Okay.
example, I'm doing country now and I'm bringing in my kind of hip hop fan base that I've had for many years. And I met a fan in San Francisco, and this is the funniest story. He's like, "Yo, Chanel," he's like, "You got me listening to country now, dog." And he's like this kind of like gangster kid, like, and I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Oh, that's dope." And he's like, "I'm not gonna lie." He's like, "I'm happy you put me on to Lainey Wilson because she got a fat ass." And I just started cracking up, and I'm like, "Yo, I bet you this kid never would have listened to Lainey Wilson if I didn't cover her and he happened to be following me from my hip hop stuff?"
Yeah.
So I think that whenever you kind of merge worlds, or people, cross doing different genres, you're just making more people aware of a genre of music they may not have listened to. And I think that's cool to like get more people into country music, and even some country people to get them more into hip hop.
Yeah. because I asked that because like I have this inner battle with it all the time where it's like I'm like, you know, let's just keep country, rap, hip hop, rock and roll, whatever, like in their own things, right?
Yeah.
But then it's like, the 90s kid in me, sees, you know, Cody Johnson and Boyz II Men get on stage at Stagecoach and fucking tear it up. And it's like, that
Yep.
made my whole soul happy. I've now seen both of those entities live on their own things, and then to see them come together and it worked. It worked. Like that's the thing. Like if it would have sucked, it would have been a whole different conversation. But it
Yeah.
worked.
No, I know. I literally got goosebumps as you said that because it's like that's what I love. Like I love seeing people like come together, you know? I think especially right now at a time where like the world is so divided. There is so much of just people. Oh my God. It's like now, like it's extra divided. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I just feel like music is something that can still bring people together. Like, let's forget about politics. Let's forget about like, what the color of your skin is, what your religion is,
Yeah.
whatever. Everybody loves music. And I think that it's something that is really still there to bring people together. Like, like I said, I go to Stagecoach, Coachella, I'm at these music festivals and I see so many different people coming together. And that's when I'm like, dang, music is really powerful. Like, it's the one thing where it's like people will forget about everything else going on to come see good music live. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm in Massachusetts, right? And
Uh
I
huh.
grew up in New England, and like, I don't know if you've ever been here, but we have a
Yeah.
very like, we're better than everybody else, right? Mentality. And I remember when I first started this, people I was very close to have been like, you know, I obviously am going to talk to a lot of people from Texas and Tennessee and Georgia and the deep South, Alabama, et cetera, like, and I would have people say to me like, what could you possibly talk to these redneck hillbillies about, right? And I have found that I've talked to white artists, I've talked to black artists, I've talked to Latino artists, I've talked to people now in the hip hop world that have crossed over and all these things, right? And to your point, that's exactly what it is. Like we are more alike, regardless of where we're from and the color of our skin or what we believe in, than the fucking mainstream. And I hate to say it this way, but the mainstream media and the
Yeah.
spin would let you believe. Like we are way more alike than we are different.
Yep. No, it's the truth. I mean, I I really feel like, don't get me started on just being part of like a society that I swear is like meant to divide us, and I
Yeah.
I hate it. I Like I said, I grew up so culturally diverse. Like my mom's side of the family was so different than my dad's side of the family, and my family in Ohio was very different than my family in New York. And it's funny actually, my mom, when I was growing up, her ex-boyfriend was from Boston. so so for like 10 years of my childhood, Patriots, that's who we rooted for.
Well, yeah, because
um, but like that's what I'm saying. It's like I grew up around so many different backgrounds and I've seen so many different, people get along and be in the same rooms together. And so when I see people not get along over politics or whatever, I'm like, yo, like this, like we are not, like what you just said, we are not that different. Like we need to
no,
find
we're
our
not.
common ground and come together. And honestly, that's what I'm saying I'm trying to do with my music is like I am literally trying my best to bring people together through music. And I think I'm doing a good job so far. Like just my few shows that I've done in the past couple months, I've seen like the crowd and I'm like, wow, I really am merging these worlds of kind of hip hop and country and bringing people together that I don't think would normally be in the same room, you know?
Yeah. Now let me ask you, right? Because I've always wanted to go to Stagecoach, but like I don't know if I can get on a plane and go cross country for that long. Um, and then you talk about Coachella, right? Where obviously they're two very, very different things, right?
Yeah.
But, and I mean this, I don't mean this in a bad way, but like from where you are and your status in the industry, right? Like, how are you seeing it? Are you seeing it from, the ground level with like the quote unquote normal people, or do you get that VIP experience?
So I definitely always have like some VIP tickets or
Sure.
artist
Yeah,
passes.
absolutely. Right. As you
um
should.
but I love to go and just watch the music like regular. Like there was two stages where I was lucky enough to get on the side stage and be able to watch it from side stage, which was really cool for Third Eye Blind and Ludacris at Stagecoach.
Luda.
But all the other acts though, like just go in the front with my friends, like. And I honestly think that that's where it's really cool at Stagecoach and Coachella, because you will literally like for who was I watching? God, I think it was like last year and we were watching Goo Goo Dolls, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm in the crowd, the regular crowd, because it's like where everybody mixes together, GA, artists, it doesn't matter. And I literally just look over to my left and I'm like, oh, that's Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis. And like, so like that's one of the cool things that I do love about Stagecoach and Coachella is like some of the biggest stars you realize are actually super down to earth, just normal
Yeah.
freaking people coming to enjoy a good time and watch music, and you see them in their normal element. Like, oh my gosh, they're super famous, but they're normal, just like me, just wearing a regular t-shirt and jeans and trying to enjoy a live show. So that is one of the cool things to see when you go to these festivals, is to see like all these big celebrities just acting like normal people and like in the mix with everybody else.
Yeah. Now let me ask you this, right? For the celebrity that you have, right, and the things you've done, do you get recognized like out on the street?
I get recognized a lot as long as I look good. If I look like crap, like I'm sorry, I am not Beyonce.
Girl,
I did not wake up like this.
that was the
um
most honest answer. I love that.
No, it's the truth. If I look like shit, nobody will recognize me until I like laugh or speak. But if I have my hair and makeup all done, then people are bugging me like all the time, like, "Oh my God, Chanel, can I get a pic?" Da da da. And I don't mind it. I love taking pics with my fans. I love the only time it does bug me is when I do look like shit and they recognize me, and then they're like, "Can I get a pic?" And I'm like, "Oh damn, like I don't look good right now."
Right. Now that's I can't even imagine that lifestyle. Like a part of me I think would love it, and I think a part of me would hate it. Like, do you have those moments of like, I just want to be left the fuck alone?
There definitely have had those moments, but I have to say, like, and that's why sometimes even when I see any celebrity get like a little irritated with like people bugging them or whatever, it's like there are so many perks to also being known. Like the other day, the guy at the little coffee acai bowl place recognized me. He was a fan and he gave me my order for free.
Right, right.
So it's like that was great. Got my avocado toast and my coffee for free. So like there's perks, and like that's a great thing. So you have to be able to deal with a couple annoying times where maybe people are being overbearing or whatever, because there's also so many perks to being known, and you get all these free gifts. I get all this free clothes, and like so I'm really grateful for all of the cool stuff that comes with it. I'm so grateful for that stuff that like I don't let when people are annoying me get to me really. And I also see that like I'm trying to get my music more known. I'm trying to I want to be remembered when I leave this earth, mainly for my music, not just being the girl with the laugh from Ridiculousness. And if I'm going to get to that level, I'm going to have to be a little bit more known. There's probably going to be
Yeah,
more people bugging me. Like I see what Ella Langley's going through. She can't even go eat. She's got like freaking security with her everywhere. And I'm like, dang, if I get a real hit, is that what I'm going to be going through? And
yeah,
so you got to be willing to deal with that stuff if this is the life that you want to live. You know what I mean?
yeah. Now, do you find, we talk a lot about on here about social media and how that kind of like grasps everybody, and like that's pretty much the focus, right?
Yeah.
Do you find that you also need to do that and have, like, this is what I'm eating for breakfast today and all that crazy shit, just to kind of, stay in that whole people knowing what you're doing all the time so that you feel relatable and people are paying attention? Like, do you feel like you're in that cycle and that, that rat race too?
Yeah, totally. Like, I mean, years ago, I used to look at it like, and this is before being an influencer became such a big thing, but I looked at it like, especially being an artist and doing music, like there should be more mystery to you. That's how I feel. Like when we were
Yeah,
growing up and like you didn't know so much about the artists you listened to. It was kind of like the mystery of not knowing about them was intriguing.
yeah,
And so I always felt like keeping a fine balance of like I would always post my music, my shows, but I didn't post so much about my personal life years ago. And then they changed algorithms. It's like now if you don't post a ton, if you don't show your personal life, people almost aren't interested. It's crazy.
yeah.
I have a friend who, I'm not going to take the credit, but I'm the one who told him he better make a TikTok. So my friend is Tucker Wetmore, the country singer, and I knew this kid before he blew up. He actually gave me a ride to the airport. And on
No
the ride
shit.
to yeah, on the ride to the airport, cuz I knew he was a really good singer and I had heard him sing a couple days before while we were hanging out with some friends. And so I said, "Oh, hey, what's your social media?" And he's like, I ain't into all that." And I'm like, "Bro, I'm like you got to get into social
You
media."
got it
I'm a little
right.
older than him too. He was like, "I'm like a big cis figure." And so I told him, I'm like, dude, I'm in my 30s and I made a TikTok. Like, you got to do what you got to do to get out there and get known and have people just be aware of who you are and what you're doing. And so I told him, I was like, if you want to make it with your music, like, you got to make a TikTok. And he was like, really soaking in what I was saying. He went and made a TikTok, and now this kid is huge.
Yeah,
And so,
but like,
no, I was gonna say, and so that's like the perfect example of why TikTok and social media is so important. It's like I saw how it's changed people's lives overnight.
yeah, oh, absolutely. And I love that you say that about Tucker and knowing him, because it's like I've seen Tucker now a few times,
Yeah,
and he also has that, he has that country voice, but the music part of it, the instrumental part has a little bit of that, you know, and I'm not saying this is right or wrong, but it has some of those tracks to it. There is that bleed into it, like we've been talking about.
yeah, for sure. No, and but I think though that social media, like you just have to kind of get into it these days. Even as an adult,
Yeah.
it's where everybody is. Like even all my friends who are just like moms that they're not really influencers. They're not, I got a lot of normal friends. I grew up here in LA, so I'm friends with some of my friends since elementary school still, and my very normal friends who just work regular jobs and stuff. I see that they'll just get home from work and they're just scrolling TikTok, looking at stuff, and so it's like our age group still is like they're on it also now, and I think that it's like it feels a little awkward sometimes to be in this age like making TikToks like you're an 18-year-old, but it's what's going to keep the people aware of you, what you're doing, and that's how you get your music out there. And so I'm all over it. As soon as I'm done with this interview with you, I'm literally going to probably go make some TikToks.
Yeah, yeah, and like that's the thing. Like you have to, and I saw that we just recently lost all of our Instagram following. Like
Yeah.
we got hacked, and my original Instagram account gone. Right, I had thousands and thousands of followers. I had my blue check mark. I had everything. Right, and I was looking back and I was like, I had a lot of posts, but not a lot of like real. And then I was going back and looking at other, country music influencer stuff, and that's all they have is reels. And it's like, shit. Like, I gotta be the 39-year-old dad out on the ball field talking about this artist or that artist so that I, feel like I'm connecting and relevant with people. And I'm like, what the fuck am I gonna do? You know? But,
No, I feel you. Trust me.
but that's part of it, I guess. That's part of the charm and appeal of this industry.
Yeah, and part of what how do they as they say like keeping up with the times.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Now, with your album coming out and all that, what's some things in this album that you think are important for people to kind of like pay attention to, grasp, and really like let sink in?
Well, I have a couple songs where I'm talking about my upbringing a little bit. I go into my mom's story a little. because her life was pretty crazy leading up to mine. So I think that people are gonna get to just hear more about my life. Like I'm trying to put my life story into my music more, especially because like even so now that I'm doing country, I got all these people like haters like she grew up in LA, and I'm like, dude, I literally don't have one relative in California. My family's in Ohio, South Carolina, and New York. And like I've grown up in all these different places, you know? So through my music, I'm really trying to tell my life story about my upbringing. I have songs talking about my daughter. You know, I really wanted to make some songs for her and love story songs. You know, I have a song where it's funny because the song's literally talking about how I'm finally in a happy, good relationship, and it's almost harder to write love songs now because you're
Yeah,
so used to writing about your pain and your heartbreak. And now I'm like,
absolutely.
dang, what am I going to write about? That we're just happy and we don't argue?
Right, right,
You
right.
know, like it's like sometimes like the healthy, normal relationship gives you less to write about. And so I made a song talking about that, and it's actually kind of a funny song. And I think the people who are in like normal, healthy relationships will love it. So that's what I'm trying to put more of into this album. I still have very fun high energy party songs. Down to the Filter is a very fun high energy song. I have a couple more that are really like high energy kind of party like line dancing songs, but there's a lot of deeper slow songs where I'm really singing more like ballads. I don't think people are expecting some of the type of songs that I have coming out. So I'm really excited for to finish this album and just like get it out to the world.
Now, do we have, and I'm probably have it somewhere, but for our intents and purposes, do you have a date? Is there a set date for when this is supposed to release?
I don't have a set date. I'm trying to get it out around my birthday, which is September 1st.
Nice.
So before the fall.
Okay. Now, are there any touring plans?
So I'm always touring. I'm doing tons of one-off gigs. Like
Okay.
I'm literally like this is how I've stayed, you know, thriving with an independent music career for like 16 years now is I have like I said, I got this pretty cool fan base that, you know, they stay booking me for gigs. So if everybody follows me on social media, you'll see I post about all my gigs. My next one is in New Hampshire, June 26th. Or no, well actually I'm performing a ton for CMA Fest. Let me take it back. Performing a ton in Nashville for CMA Fest. So I'll be posting about a bunch of those shows. Then the next one after that is New Hampshire. Then I'm like in Missouri for 4th of July. So I'm just always posting about my gigs. You just got to follow me and stay updated.
Dude, if you're coming to New Hampshire, depending on where you are, we might have to go
Oh, come, please.
because you're, I mean, from us, New Hampshire, depending on where you are, I mean, it's only an hour, a couple hours away.
Yeah, no, I think I actually fly into Boston sometimes to go for this one.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe I'll link up with your PR team and be like, "Hey,
Okay.
what's the deal?" And we'll figure something out because I would love to say hey in person because I love, you know, I don't get to see a lot of people, right? Because
Yeah, yeah.
a lot of the stuff we cover stays in the South and in the Midwest and all that. But like when people get out here, like I love to just be like, you know, hi and thank you and you know and all that.
Oh, you would love the place too. The venue's super fun. It's at this little lake town. So it's like a really fun place to come for a gig too.
Sweet, sweet. Well, you know, I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't know what I was gonna get into here with you, and again, I don't mean that disrespectfully at all. But like, you know, let's be frank. What you've done in the past isn't quite my demographic of things that are on my radar, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I gotta say, like, talking to you and like getting your story, like, it has been very refreshing. I don't think I've smiled in an interview for this long, you
Oh,
know,
thank
out of
you.
how much fun I've had in a very long time. So, you know,
Thank you. I
thanks for coming
appreciate
on.
that.
And you know what? When the album comes out and things are really starting to move with that, like
Yeah.
I'll keep in touch with your team and you know have you back on and see where things are. And you know, like this has been a great pleasure. It really has.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking to you too.
Anytime, anytime. Good luck with everything, and you know, hopefully when you're here in a couple of weeks, we'll be able to chat.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'll get you the info about the New Hampshire show and hopefully you can make
Yeah,
it.
Absolutely. Sounds good.
Okay, talk
All right.
soon.
Sounds good. Thanks.
All right, bye. Thank you.
Bye.
How do I?
Well, there you have it, everyone. Our conversation with Chanel West Coast again. Thank you so much, Chanel, for being here. It was an absolute pleasure talking to you, getting to learn about you, and honestly, like such a treat, such a pleasure. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here, and for everybody else, thank you so much for being here as well. And I think that's it. That's all we got for today. Yeah, that's it. I don't think there's anything else. Might have a couple of shows this week. So just take a look at that. Follow us for that. And that's it. So enjoy your week, guys. Thank you so much. We have 2 other episodes coming out today. We have Kelsey Hart, and we also have our buddy Matt. So I just had a brain fart. So thanks for being here. Cheers.